What's up, guys? UFC 306, Noche UFC is in the books, and I would call it a successful event. Some people weren't wowed. Some people didn't like the result. It was just 10 fights in the Sphere in Las Vegas, Nevada. Mexican theme around Mexican Independence Day. A lot of Mexican fighters. I'd say it was a success. I'd say Dana White did what he needed to do. I think this was a one-time venture. He's repeated that before. He said it was very costly. And although I think we'll never have an event like it, I don't know if it's worth the financial burden that the UFC has expressed. I think a rehearsal was $2 million just to make sure everything was in place, everything looked correct. And, at the end of the day, this isn't a concert where you're listening to music and you constantly have visuals. This is a fight. We're there to watch the fight. So you're using the Sphere and everything it has to offer. Very little, seldom, really. So yes, cool effects, cool theme, but I think this is a one and done. And if you ask me, I think it was successful. Was it highly profitable? Maybe not. I don't know those numbers. I'm sure will come out, but I think it was worth it just to make the history. First live sporting event and you at the Sphere. Sorry, UFC 306 Noche UFC. My book a success. Now, when we talk about results, Mexico had a bad night. Quite frankly, I think it's 2-6 they went in the whole card of Mexican born fighters. But yeah, just a lot of weird things. And I'm just going to break it down, guys. If you like my videos, sure to subscribe. I have my predictions for the UFC Fight Night this weekend. The video is going to come out on Thursday. So be sure to subscribe, guys. I hope you loved my picks. I went 7 for 10, but it was kind of a crazy card. I'm going to be honest with you. Roso Jr. starting off the night. I thought it made a lot of sense. Mexican, youngest UFC fighter, has a lot of hype around him. And this was a showcase fight. He was supposed to go in there and take out Orochi Lang in minutes. But Orochi Lang's experience definitely held up. Roso Jr.'s inexperience definitely showed. I felt like he's trying to prove something striking. I don't think he should. I think Roso Jr. should be finding a sub for 15 minutes because that's what makes him so dominant. He is getting better. There are some improvements in his game, but he still has a lot of room for growth. Again, he's 19 years old, so I think that's what we should expect. Very, very ridiculous for him to call for a $50,000 bonus at the end of the fight, but I'll just leave that right there. Moving on, prelims. Joshua Van, dominant decision win. I'll keep it at that. Ketlin Souza. So in my breakdown, I said you're going to do one of two things. You're going to go for Yasmin to win by decision, right? Because the money line didn't make sense. She was at like negative 500. Or Ketlin Souza by knockout, which was plus 1,300. Fun fact, she did throw that overhand right like I said she would. She was successful, which I didn't think she'd find the whole fight. But she threw that huge overhand right, was able to drop Yasmin. Yasmin was pretty much out of it at that. But then she snuck behind her, got her neck. She actually won by submission. And I don't know what those odds were, but I promise you made that bet, congratulations. Well done. Ignacio Bahamondes beating Manuel Torres by knockout first round. I thought it was going to be the other way around. All we knew about this fight was that it was going to be fireworks. So both of the guys look good. Manuel Torres, just a smaller guy. Ignacio really kept him at bay, landed the better shots, had the bigger moment. Good job if you bet Ignacio Bahamondes. I didn't. So those two fights I lost back-to-back. I said, damn, with the picks I have, it's going to be a real long night after saying that. But we move on. Irene Aldana versus Norma Dumont. I am so impressed by Norma Dumont because in my breakdown, in most breakdowns, and when you watch experts or just analysts or YouTubers like me speak, everyone says Irene Aldana is the better striker. Dumont needs to have control time. That's what wins her the fight. And even that had me worried because I thought the judges were going to be giving Mexico a lot of decisions. But a lot of the decision losses for Mexico were not close fights. So Norma Dumont went in there and she outstruck Irene Aldana. And there's a crazy picture going around. Irene Aldana got split open, but it was a headbutt. But besides that, Norma Dumont, for 3 rounds, absolutely demolished Irene Aldana. It was so bad, and kudos to Norma Dumont. I'm very impressed by her. Bright future after that fight, honestly. So right there, she shuts down Mexico, and now we talk about the main card. Main card holds 2 of the best fights I've seen in a long time. That's the fact. It's a reality. Ronaldo Rodriguez steps in against Osborne. Here's one thing that I did notice in the card. Refs were letting fights go a little longer, and we saw that with Manuel Torres. Manuel Torres they probably would have stopped the fight. Any other event, that fight gets stopped before the 4th minute. He got dropped earlier and they didn't stop it. And we see that again with Ronaldo Rodriguez. Ronaldo Rodriguez got TKO'd basically, and a lot of refs would have stopped it. I don't care what anyone says. Some people disagreed. Osborne would have had a first round TKO. He almost got subbed, but he got out. And funny enough, we had issues with our internet and it blacked out. So I'm like, freak. Osborne's going to win by sub. And it took us a minute to get back up. And all of a sudden, I see Ronaldo on top, just control time. It was crazy. Ronaldo has a great second round, almost finishes Osborne. And then ultimately, the third round, he had enough control time, and he wins in decision. And it was incredible, and I think it really set the tone for the night. And up to that point, I said, this is going to be the fight of the night. Like, they proved it. Ronaldo Rodriguez proved that Mexican chin, Mexican grit type of fight style, came back. He got wobbled. It was incredible. I'm very impressed by him. Also, not impressed by him being in those situations, but impressed by how durable he was. Then we move on for the real fight of the night. Up to this point, everybody thought this would be the fight of the night. Daniel Zellhuber against Esteban Ribovics. Guys, I don't think I've seen a better fight than that in the last, 10 years. I can't name a fight. I mean, Max Holloway, Justin Gaethje because of the result, but a fight that was such a ping-pong type of battle. Back, forth, almost a finish, all striking. It was just incredible. The durability on both of these guys, the striking from both of these guys, the technical striking from the guy. It was just incredible. I'm so impressed by both of these gentlemen. And again, a Mexican fighter losing in decision. And I thought it was the right call. I really did. Ribovics takes the decision, and ultimately I think he had the bigger moments. And that's why I bet him as the underdog. So Ronaldo Rodriguez and Ribovics were actually my picks. So I was very happy with that. Next up, Diego Lopez. Guys, Diego Lopez, I had $100 for him to win. Not money line because he was coming in as a negative 190 favorite. But to him to win by knockout. And Diego Lopez had Brian Ortega knocked out. I don't care what anybody says. He hits him with some mean hooks. Brian Ortega's wobbled, gets him on the cage, wobbles him again, and all of a sudden Brian Ortega goes down to take a knee. And instead of just flailing, just flurry of punches on him, he goes for his back and tries to submit him. And honestly, I think that he got himself into some pretty bad spots submission-wise because Brian Ortega is scary on the ground, even though Diego Lopez could hold his own. But I don't understand. I think Diego Lopez was trying to prove that he could hold his own against Brian Ortega by submitting him or just, getting into the jiu-jitsu and grappling game. But I thought it was the dumbest decision. I was very disappointed. Obviously, I had money invested in it, but he had the TKO. So ultimately, that fight kept going. Diego Lopez proves that he's the young up-and-comer. Brian Ortega, sorry, man. This is more of the same, just constantly getting beat up, man. He got lucky against Yair. That's my take. And against the top 10 even, Brian Ortega, I don't think he's worth much. Sorry. Next up, Valentina Shevchenko, Alexa Grasso. And this is where the card gets dicey for me because if these next two fights are exciting or we have a fun matchup, fun result, I think this card is a 10 out of 10. But the next two fights weren't. Valentina Shevchenko, I said she was going to go in there, and I thought she was going to finish Grasso. And everything said, pick Grasso here. Mexican, has beaten Valentina before, has all the momentum, current champion. Valentina older, Grasso in her prime. But Valentina Shevchenko went out there and dominated Alexa Grasso for 25 minutes. Another Mexican fighter in the decision scorecard. 50-45 going the other way. It was incredible. She did not win a round this time. Valentina Shevchenko not only beat Alexa Grasso, but she made everyone know that she's the better fighter. Because everyone was saying Grasso's the better fighter. Everyone. And Valentina Shevchenko said, no, I worked harder. I'm better. I'm tougher mentally. And I think she was in some tough spots a few times. Alexa Grasso was looking for a sub. But Valentina Shevchenko just did what she needed to do. Toe-to-toe with her striking. Went for the takedown. Control time. And that was the fight. And that's a lot of people don't like that. And then we see a similar event with the main event. Sean O'Malley versus Merab Dvalishvili. I gave you two possibilities. Go back to my video. Sean O'Malley by knockout. Merab Dvalishvili dominates the whole fight. Control time. Takes a decision. I said it. It's only one of two. Most people knew it. I mean, it's not special information. But what I did say is if we make it past the third round, I think it's scary. I think you could lock in Merab winning. Because I don't think you could believe that Sean O'Malley, after wrestling for 15 minutes, aggressive wrestling, just the pace being pushed on him, after being in that position for 15 minutes, could come out with power or explosiveness. And he had a decent round 5 because he knew he was down. I think he hurt Merab with a body shot. But in reality, I mean, it's just, you're not as quick. You're not moving the same. Your footwork's not there. And I just think that Merab Dvalishvili had Sean O'Malley's number last night. And I think he'll have his number for most time. It's a classic matchup, striker versus grappler, but this grappler's insane. This grappler's an Energizer bunny. And it was straightforward. Sean O'Malley looked kind of flat-footed, wasn't himself, didn't look very motivated. And with that being said, we have two new champions. And like I said, I think it was a good event. I think it was successful. If the co-main and main event Not saying that they needed to have better results, because I think 2 new champions in one night is insane. But I think if the fight was more entertaining, if it was less grapple and control heavy, I think we wanted bigger moments. But Diego Lopez delivered. Esteban and Zellhuber delivered. Ronaldo and Ode delivered. There was some great fights. I think the main card was great, with the exception of the last 2 fights, and I think the event as a whole was a success. Let me know what you think below, guys. Be sure to subscribe. Sorry, I'm like slurring my words here. I'm exhausted. But for sure, this Thursday, you're going to see my breakdown for the fight night between Renato Moicano and Benoit Saint-Denis. So be sure to subscribe, guys. I'll catch you later.